Welcome to the life you crave. Simple and sustainable weight loss for women who have better things to do than diet. I'm your host, Leah Pinelli. I help ambitious, badass women stop overeating, overworking, and overgiving to lose weight from a place of love. I'll help you simplify weight loss, end your overwhelm, and create the life you crave. If you like what you hear, please like and subscribe to this podcast. Let's get started. Hey, I would like to invite you to my Hack Holiday Overeating Without Deprivation free masterclass, where I will be teaching you my 6-step method to not overeat, not feel deprived, and actually increase your pleasure and satisfaction with food over the holidays. This is a free masterclass, and you can sign up right now at leahpinelli.com/holiday. Again, just go to LIAPINELLI.com/holiday, and I am going to hook you up with that 6-step method. See you there. Hello, my beautiful friends. So this episode is coming out on Halloween here in the United States, where there is cheap candy seemingly everywhere. At home, in the hall closet, at work in the break room, heck, even on the counter at the dry cleaner. Am I wrong? You can't escape this sugar craze of Halloween. And if you have a human brain, you are probably tempted to indulge, maybe even binge every single day. On this episode, I'm going to teach you how to not overeat our Halloween candy without having to have the self-discipline of a monk or have a food safe in your house in an effort to keep the candy away from you. Let's get started. Step number one to not overdoing it with Halloween candy is to first cultivate compassion. So you guys, if you're listening to this episode, you have a human brain in your head. And our human brains are hardwired to want to eat sweet things, to actually crave sweet things. This is the reason why Mother Nature made certain foods sweet so that we would continue to eat them, right? Like raspberries, strawberries, peaches. This is also why Mother Nature made women's breast milk sweet, is to keep the baby eating it. It's a survival mechanism to keep our human race alive and thriving. In our modern world, however, it's actually abnormal to have this level of access as humans to processed sugar, especially the quantity of processed sugar that we actually have access to. So our response to it, our brains, they're still these, natural human brains living in an abnormal or unnatural environment when it comes to all of these heavily processed sugary foods. And when you eat something sugary, when you eat something sweet, your brain has a dopamine response. It lets off, it fires up your reward center, right? Dopamine is in the reward center of your brain. So when you eat something sweet, well, when you eat anything for that matter, but particularly when you eat something sweet, you get a big hit of dopamine in your brain. It's a biochemical response, something you can't control, and it's not your fault. Dopamine is the hormone that keeps you wanting more, right? Dopamine is the part of your brain that says, oh my gosh, that was so good. That was so delicious. Let's get more of that. That's what causes the urges. That's what causes the cravings. That's what causes the sugar habit, so to speak. But here's the thing. The solution is not to avoid sugar, right? Because it's everywhere. So when you're trying to avoid something that's in your face everywhere all the time, that you are hardwired to want to eat, that is just going to lead you to feeling frustration, deprivation, and it's going to most likely just catapult you right into a cycle of resisting and then binging. And if you're listening to this podcast, you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. We've all been there, right? I know I used to be, for sure. So instead of practicing restriction and punishment and self-criticism when you find yourself wanting to eat sugar or eating sugar, I want to invite you to try something totally different, but I'm going to come to that in just a few minutes. What I want you to try to do, not try to do, what I want you to do is I want you to, step number 2, ask yourself, do I even like this candy? Now, I know that might sound crazy, but really, like, do you? Your brain might be having a knee-jerk reaction right now that's like, duh, Leah, of course. Like, I love Twix. I love gummy bears. I love Snickers. And I know I used to think the same thing. I used to think that I loved Snickers and Nutrageous, by the way. I used to love Nutrageous, me and my sister. But when I actually took the time to do what I'm about to tell you to do, I found that I didn't actually like them at all. My brain liked the feeling of the dopamine hit, but I wasn't actually enjoying the chocolate in the way that I had been believing, in the way that I had been telling myself. And I know that sounds crazy, but I've actually found that with a lot of things over the years. When I have practiced mindful eating, which is not something that I recommend that you do all the time because nobody can, it's time consuming and tedious. But when I actually investigate, I have found that there are certain things that I always told myself I really liked, but when I really paid attention, I found I didn't really like it. You may have had that experience before with a friend, right? Somebody that you like hung out with for years, and then one day you wake up and realize, you know what? I don't think I actually like that person. I don't know. Is it just me? Maybe. I have recorded a separate but sister podcast to this one where I am walking you through a mindful eating exercise. It doesn't take more than 5 minutes. It is not long. But I recorded it separately so that you can go back and play this whenever you're ready and not have to try to find it in the middle of this podcast. Because I know for most of my listeners, we are busy, career-driven, working mamas who are most likely, folding laundry, running a household, driving to and from work in traffic, maybe running on a treadmill, right? And this isn't the time or place for you to do a mindful eating exercise while you're in the middle of listening to this podcast. So instead, I created a mini podcast that pairs with this one. It was released at the exact same time on the exact same day, so it'll be right next to this one. And I encourage you to go and do that 5-minute mindful eating practice and then come back to this podcast when you have done it. So right now, I'm going to continue on as if you have done that mindful exercise. And you can keep listening even if you haven't done it yet. But what I want you to do is, I am not asking you to go through a mindful eating exercise to prove to you that you don't like Halloween candy. There is no way that I could ever know if you personally like Halloween candy. I didn't even know that I didn't like it until I did this exercise. But instead, I'm asking you to try this because you might find, like me, that you have a belief that you like things that maybe you don't even really like. And so when you slow down and you pay attention, you will find that your answer could be different. And this allows you to really connect with what feels good, like what really truly feels good in your body and what doesn't. That candy, it may totally do it for you. And that's actually good data to have, as you'll see in a minute. But if that candy doesn't really do it for you, then that's good news too. I know for me, I would much rather have, like if I'm going to have something kind of candy-like, I love those like dark chocolate turtles, with like pecans and caramel and dark chocolate that you get at like really nice chocolate shops. I would much rather enjoy one of those than, be mowing on some Kit Kats and gummy bears. But that's just me, right? Everybody is different. So that's step number 2. I want you to take yourself through that mindful eating process with one piece of candy. And then step number 3 is if you gave that experience where you did the mindful eating with the candy, and if you gave that experience a 4 or a 5 on the scale that I gave you, then you really do love Halloween candy. So guess what? You should go ahead and plan to eat it and enjoy it. But the thing is most of us have all this guilt and shame about it. We think it's bad. We think it's, we shouldn't be eating it. So we end up eating it mindlessly, out of habit, because it's just there, right? It's like we're on default mode and we're not really enjoying it. And you just figured out that this is something you really enjoy. So why not take the time to slow down and really enjoy it? And then When we're not really enjoying it, we feel bad because we're unaware and we overeat it and we overdo it. But when you take the time to slow down and enjoy it, you actually increase your chances of feeling satisfied sooner. I promise you this is true. When you eat something that you truly enjoy and allow yourself to savor it and to really luxuriate in it, you will find that you need less of it for the same reward to be released. So I implore you, I don't even invite you guys, I implore you, if you enjoy it, plan to eat it. And if you plan it, ask yourself ahead of time, how many pieces of candy do I really want? Because there is a law of diminishing returns, you guys. And if you can tap into it, you will find that you can lose weight without any other advice from me. In fact, I have a training on this at my website, leahpinelli.com. It's called Eating Without Fear, my 7-pound weight loss tool, where I teach you how to eat only when you're hungry and stop when you're not. You can get it at leahpinelli.com. But when you can figure out where that point of diminishing returns is, meaning I'm really enjoying this food, but then there's this moment where it kind of flips into overeating and we're not enjoying anymore. It's not as delicious anymore. It's not as good anymore. And then when we're left with the feeling of having just overeaten, it compounds the bad feelings, right? We feel even worse. So we started with something that was so pleasurable for us, like, some candy or some chocolate. And then we ended up ruining it for ourselves because now we feel like we've overdone it. We've got that sugary coating in our mouth. We don't feel good. We overate and now we're beating ourselves up for it and feeling guilty and shameful. So if you scored that experience below a 4, that means that you don't really love that Halloween candy as much as you thought. So why bother eating it, right? Oh, right. We are hardwired to want sweets, especially when we're stressed, bored, or tired, or because everybody else is eating it. So even if you don't really like it, the fact that it's a sugary sweet makes it hard to resist, even if I don't really like that. So here is what you do instead. When your brain suggests that you eat some Halloween candy, unplanned, you want to remind yourself that you don't really want it. And that's true, right? There is a part of you you've just discovered that doesn't really want to eat mediocre treats. You would rather, if you're like me, enjoy a box of fancy chocolates or a piece of homemade cheesecake or a bowl of your favorite ice cream, right? So really putting it in perspective, like that's not actually a sugary sweet that I would really enjoy. So I'm going to skip it. Now, your brain might argue, but saying things to you like, but I do kind of want it. It might be kind of good, right? Like, well, it's no harm just having one. Your brain will start to lawyer up on you. And the truth of the matter is that both of these things can be true simultaneously. You can both want it and not want it at the same time. So just remind yourself of that. I want it and I don't want it. And then here's the secret. Sit in that discomfort. Because either way, you're going to be uncomfortable. You're going to be uncomfortable if you eat a bunch of sugar you didn't really want, and you'll be uncomfortable if you don't eat a bunch of sugar that you but don't really want. So either way, just choose your discomfort. But remember that either way, you're going to be uncomfortable. So choose your discomfort that has the outcome attached to it that you want. And I know for me, the outcome that I want when it comes to Halloween candy is to not eat it. So that is what I have for you today. 3 steps to not overeat Halloween candy. Step number 1, cultivate compassion. Remember, you have a human brain that is hardwired to want to eat Halloween candy. Number 2, ask yourself and explore, investigate. Do I even like this? And finally, number 3, after you've rated that experience, either plan to eat it because you love it or plan to remind your brain that it's not actually something that you enjoy anymore. Okay, you guys, I hope you guys are all going to join me in my upcoming free Hack Holiday Overeating Without Deprivation Masterclass, where I'm going to be teaching you my 6-step method to not overeat, not feel deprived, and increase your pleasure and satisfaction over the holidays. You can sign up for free at leahpinelli.com/holiday holiday. Again, that's liapinelli.com/holiday. Hope to see you there. Ciao, Bella. Hey, if you enjoy that episode and found the content intriguing, then I really encourage you to come and join us for the Hack Holiday Overeating Without Deprivation Masterclass, where I'm going to be teaching you my signature 6-step proven method to finally have a holiday where you don't gain extra weight because you're not overeating, you're not feeling deprived, and you're having the time of your life for the first time in who knows how long. So head over to liapinelli.com/holiday to sign up. It is free, so you got nothing to lose. Again, that is liapinelli.com/holiday to sign up. Hope to see you there.
You've been listening to The Life You Crave. I lost 30 pounds years ago without dieting, willpower, or deprivation. I'm on a mission to help other women, including you, do the same. You can book a free weight loss strategy session with me over at liapinelli.com. That's liapinelli.com. See you on our next call or on the next episode. And remember to like, subscribe, and leave a comment on iTunes.